Hi hearties, welcome back to the Teacup Trail. We are on episode 4 of season 8. If you remember the first scene of this episode, you will remember how spicy it was, especially for Team Lucas.
Sorry.
You must have fallen asleep.
You're up early.
I don't know where to start. I feel like I'm gonna ramble on again for the millionth time, but I just feel like the intensity of the chemistry is so strong in this scene, even though they are still somewhat mad at each other. Elizabeth was surprised to see Lucas. I mean, that's like something unexpected to see in the early morning, a guy sleeping at the library. She was like, you know what, my focus, my mission is to get the books for the new family in town, and she just continued her way into the library.
Up late. I haven't been to bed.
No?
She didn't know what to do, she didn't know what to say. It's like they tried to move on from their last conversation, trying to get a good conversation going and not be awkward with each other, the only two people at the library in the early morning.
I was in my office, robbing Peter to pay Paul. We managed to save the oil derrick before it sustained too much damage from the fire.
Well, luckily no one was badly injured.
Thankfully. A miracle.
One of the things that hurt me in this scene was when Lucas was talking about the oil explosion a while back, and he said it was a miracle that no one got hurt. And that hurt me because in real life, my faith is really important to me. And when someone says it was a miracle, like most of the time, like for me, for myself, I would be like, okay, so you believe in a higher power, like, you know, you believe in a God, in this universe. So it's just like hurt me, and it's like reminded me of the moment that Elizabeth took the importance of baptizing her son, little Jack. Elizabeth and Lucas most likely have similar beliefs when it comes to religion and faith and destiny and all those spiritual stuff. I thought that was interesting to hear that from Lucas.
I could say you're up early, though.
New family is moving into Henry's. Everyone's bringing pies and casseroles, so I thought I'd bring...
Food for the soul.
Better get going if I want to make it back in time for school.
Elizabeth told Lucas why she's at the library, and Lucas just like listening to her, and he said like send everyone, you know, brought food and mostly food to the new family. Elizabeth thought of books, and Lucas said food for the soul, and they just like looked at each other and just had that chemistry again, and it's just like they can like link each other mind, like it's just like the magnetic force between these two. It's so special and so powerful. Sorry about that noise. I don't know if you heard that noise, but yeah, it's just like the magnetic force between these two throughout the scene is so powerful in an amazing way. And Elizabeth like hurried off, like I gotta go, like, you know, like it was a good conversation between them, like nothing like negative, there's no argument again and so forth.
Allow me.
Thank you.
Lucas, the gentleman that he is, he opened the door for her and she let him, and she's like appreciated that. And I think that's very important to her, because no matter what they're going through, if they in an argument or if things are going well, no matter what's going on between them, Lucas still respects her as a woman and be a gentleman to her, no matter what's going on. And I think that's very nice and very gentleman-like of Lucas. Elizabeth stepped out of the door, and Lucas had a quick moment to himself. He held on to the doorknob tightly and just like trying to like compose himself. And I think there were so many things going through his mind in that quick moment. He's like, okay, just trying to stay home, and it's just like, you know, not trying to get the words get to me. Like, after what happened, after our last conversation, like, I'm not trying to be mad at her or be frustrated of what she did and how our last conversation went. And at the same time, I think he feels really bad. He really feels bad about what he said to her and how she accused her at the end of the conversation. And it's like he wants to make it right, but at the same time, he just still feel hurt from the whole drama situation with his parents and Elizabeth not telling him and Elizabeth not fighting for the relationship. So it's just like he wants to make it right, but at the same time he still needs time to himself to process and just to work on himself emotionally before actually talking about it, upfront about it with her. But I think overall, Lucas just know that he did something wrong in their last conversation, and hopefully we get to see them talk about it very clearly. This scene is just like avoiding what happened and trying to have a positive conversation while they alone in the library.
Here. What do you think that's about?
Bill said the Mounties are looking into the prisoner transfer shooting from last fall. I was under the impression Nathan had been exonerated.
Evidently not entirely.
Lucas helped Elizabeth again with the books when she tried to put the books away in the bag. Before she left on her horse, they talk about those two Mounties, and she mentioned about Nathan and stuff. And I thought it was very interesting of what Lucas said about Nathan. If you listen very closely, and Elizabeth just like, okay, are you seriously saying that about Nathan? Like, after what happened between these two, Lucas made that blunt statement about Nathan. Yeah, definitely out of the blue, but it was really interesting to hear that from Lucas because he knows that Nathan is fighting for Elizabeth's heart, right? But he still doesn't know that Elizabeth talked to Nathan. And I'm like, come on now. Like, what? It's just like an obstacle. It's blocking Elizabeth from telling Lucas that she already said no to Nathan. But at the same time, though, Elizabeth don't need time to think it through about Lucas. Like, remember what she told Rosemary? I know I made the right choice on Nathan. Like, it's enough. But I need to decide if I do want to pursue a romantic relationship with Lucas. So it's just like a waiting game for Elizabeth to finally tell Lucas the whole thing about how she feels for him. Elizabeth looked back to Lucas as she was riding away from him, and Lucas looked back to her, and it was just like that look of like, I hate being in this situation with you, I hate being mad at you, I hate arguing with you, but at the same time they still need some time and space from each other and to process their thoughts and feelings, and hopefully they will talk it out.
Your uncle is one of the finest Mounties I've ever known. It's hard to imagine his conduct would be found to be anything but impeccable. That means he's a very good man and he did everything right.
People said Uncle Nathan did everything right the last time.
The last time?
When he got in so much trouble at the Fort Clay.
Bombshell alert. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't really remember clearly of this moment with Allie and Elizabeth, but it feels good to watch back and see it all unfold again.
When were you at Fort Clay?
3 years ago, Uncle Nathan got suspended. After that, he asked for a transfer. That's how we wound up in Fort Simpson before coming here.
So this is the secret. This is like the first big clue that Elizabeth got about Nathan's secret, and it's Allie. It's he from Allie, and I'm just like, out of all people, like Elizabeth found out a little bit more about Fort Clay and Nathan Mountie Pass before he came to Hope Valley with Allie.
Allie, do you know why your uncle got suspended?
All I know is that he was a lot more fun before it happened.
Elizabeth stated out loud to Allie how she viewed Nathan as a Mountie. Elizabeth respects Nathan as who he is and him as an uncle to Allie and as a Mountie to the community of Hope Valley. And it's really nice that Elizabeth complimented Nathan very nicely on his occupation and how Nathan stand up for himself as a Mountie. He is a great Mountie, and people are starting to become more comfortable with him as a Mountie in Hope Valley, because the last one, Jack, he was a highly respected and very loved Mountie by Hope Valley, and they miss him dearly. And having Nathan come along, it's just like who are you, you know? But Nathan planted good roots in Hope Valley, and he is blooming, and everything going well. Now, Elizabeth, bombshell, she found out a little bit more. I would say the first big clue about Nathan Mountie Pass, and she's like, wait, what? Fort Clay? Wait, last time? What happened? Like, something similar happened before? And she started to question Allie more without making it obvious. Like, what was her intention of asking Allie on all these questions? And she's like, okay, so 3 years ago, Fort Clay, he got suspended, he got transferred after Fort Clay, and then it's just like the puzzle are like clicking to one another, and Elizabeth is like starting to paint a picture in her mental mind and trying to match the clues from the beginning to up to this point, the time, and she's like, wait, Nathan knows like what happened to my husband? Like, oh yeah, this is the beginning of the big secret that Nathan had been hiding from Elizabeth. But the thing is, Nathan told Elizabeth in the very, very beginning when he first came, like, he didn't know Jack, but he was aware that he existed, like Jack was a Mountie, and that he was very highly respected by the Mountie community and Hope Valley citizen, but he didn't really get to know Jack like on a personal level. So, but then again, Elizabeth like, okay, is Nathan hiding something? Like, did he lie about knowing Jack? Or like, there must be more to this story.
Great. I see you two have met. May I borrow you for a moment?
Oh, of course. Thank you again. Think nothing of it.
This scene might not mean much to you, but I don't know, like, Elizabeth and Lucas were mutual in front of Joseph, like, you know, like, everything was fine, you know, just abnormal, and Joseph will eventually be the new Hope Valley pastor, and, like, from the very beginning, I thought, like, for the first time that I watched this, I was like, okay, maybe, you know, Joseph will officiate the wedding, future wedding ceremony of Elizabeth and Lucas, if that's the case down the road. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like something clicked in me. And one more thing, the way that Elizabeth looked to Lucas, as he walks away, um, I don't know. Like I feel like part of her, like she wanted to make sure Lucas left, but I don't know. It's just like that look, like I know we are still on a bad term, and it's just like something that Elizabeth still need to fix with her relationship with Lucas. But at the moment, she's just busy with other things and wanted to talk to Joseph. Yeah, I don't know. I just like a quick moment, nothing serious, but I don't know, something stood inside of me. Yeah, maybe it is a foreshadow. I mean, come on, like we know what happened at the end of season 8. Hey, wedding in the future.
Why wouldn't Nathan tell me? He knows Jack died at Fort Clay.
Perhaps he felt the reminder would be too painful.
Still, I can't help but wonder if there isn't something else he hasn't told me.
Rosemary made a good point. Like, maybe Nathan doesn't want to bring up Jack and make you feel sad all over again about his death. But Elizabeth still questioning, like, there's something else that Nathan is hiding from her. And, I mean, Elizabeth is just like, is he kind of lying to me? I mean, like, technically he is lying, mostly hiding the truth from Elizabeth, but I don't think Nathan lied about not knowing Jack. Like, he really did not know Jack on a personal level. I think he knew Jack, like, indirectly, if that makes sense. Like, he heard from other people, like, about Jack, but he never, like, get to talk to Jack or have a conversation or know him personally on that mission in Fort Clay. So Elizabeth just like, if Nathan knew Jack or if he was involved or was associated with Jack, that's like why he didn't tell me, like why he been this from me. And Elizabeth just like, I guess it's like somewhat of a closure request from Elizabeth. Like she's like, okay, what did actually happen in Fort Clay, and what actually happened with Nathan in Fort Clay, and Jack too at the same time. The clues that Allie gave to Elizabeth, it just like confirmed that Nathan was associated with Jack death in some ways. So yeah, that would be interesting to see unfold. Does Elizabeth deserve to know about Nathan Mountain Pass? I think she does, because Nathan and Elizabeth are friends, right? And they formed this like really nice friendship between the two, and they did like have like that foundation, like, hey, you, Elizabeth, you are Jack's wife, and your husband died, and so forth. And Nathan did tell her in the beginning, like, he heard of Jack, like he heard how special he was as a Mountie and how loved he was in Hope Valley. They had that foundation, but throughout the time Nathan hid the truth from Elizabeth. It doesn't look good on him. I don't know, like, I mean, I want to say like he had a good intention of hiding it from Elizabeth, because it's just the emotion and the pain that he felt, going through what happened in Fort Clay and Jack. Like, if I was Nathan, I would be like feel too guilty and painful to tell Elizabeth, what really happened. It's something very sacred for Nathan. Like, he's not comfortable to just say it out loud, like right off the bat. But that he should tell her, like eventually he should have. Like, I understand if you want to hide it from her, like in the beginning of the friendship, but they like at that climax in the friendship, where they talk to each other comfortably and share things with each other. And I think Nathan should have the opportunity, or make the opportunity, to tell her about his past with Jack and Fort Clay. Yeah, so he should have told her, but I understand why he didn't tell her right away. Like, especially if you don't know Elizabeth, like in the beginning he's like, I only know you as Jack's wife, like I don't know you personally, so I can understand Nathan hiding from her the secret in the beginning of the friendship, but like right now, like he should have told her.
You must know that Fort Clay was Jack Thornton's last assignment. I don't suppose you and he ever met.
No, I never had the honor.
Any chance you told Elizabeth you were at Fort Clay?
No. I haven't.
Bill asked him if Nathan told Elizabeth about Fort Clay and so forth. And it's just like the reaction from Nathan in this scene is just like, I don't know, it's like he's not really so much emotion about it. He's like really good at hiding, and he just like putting a wall up. He doesn't really show emotion like, oh, I should tell Elizabeth. I don't know, like I don't see like he understand the importance of telling Elizabeth. It's just something that he is hiding very easily from Elizabeth. Let me know what you think of his reaction of Bill's interrogation about Fort Clay in this scene. And Bill did ask him, if Nathan met Jack like face to face, and Nathan said no, and I truly believe that. I think he was honest about that, but he is not being honest to Elizabeth. Again, it's something very sacred for Nathan. It's very hard for him to reveal that to Elizabeth, but eventually, if he keeps hiding that from Elizabeth, it can affect their friendship, and I think it already has, because all the emotion and the conversation between Nathan and Elizabeth is like Nathan trying to tell her his feeling and so forth, and there were moments where Nathan was just like behaving weirdly, and his secret about Fort Clay already affected his friendship with Elizabeth, but you don't want to affect the friendship even more down the road in the future. So yeah, it's really interesting to hear from Nathan's perspective about Fort Clay. It's just like, I don't know, like I'm just not feeling his emotion about it, about telling Elizabeth. I don't know, it's just like it's not important for him to tell Elizabeth, you know what I mean? Let me know what you think.